Thank you so much, Melissa, for agreeing to talk as a case study for my business of coaching program. I would love to hear a bit about you and what you do.
Sure. I'm Melissa Schmidiger. I am the founder and CEO of Bravo Darlings, and I help high achieving professionals cut through confusion and find clarity and go for what they want through career transitions, career pivots, or even just going for that next promotion without burnout.
Yes, totally. And can you think back to 12 months or so ago when you first came to work with me? What was going on for you at that time?
We started working together in April last year. At that time, I had become redundant with Credit Suisse. It was a redundancy that I had actually welcomed because I wanted to move from corporate. I was the global head of employer brand marketing in Credit Suisse. And I had the opportunity to go to UBS, but I really wanted to move to coaching. I'd just finished my integral coaching certificate in November the year before. But I knew that to do that, I needed to deepen a few skills. I wanted to do some work in resilience coaching because I had just recovered from burnout. But I also knew that we also need to get fundamentals in business. You can't just be a coach. You need to learn how to manage a business of coaching. And that's when I found you. I had been looking for many options that really taught the basic groundwork of the business of coaching. And I saw you pretty much everywhere. You were in a lot of channels. You were in podcasts. I found your LinkedIn and Instagram, and your story resonated with me. You had left corporate HR. So you had a corporate background like me and built a business and had the same struggles. It felt very familiar. And then it was something that spoke to me. And then, of course, it was also your warmth, the way you delivered your story. That stood out versus the other people that I'd also come across. And that's when I decided, let's talk to Joanna.
Yes, I remember receiving your first email because you must have signed up for a lead magnet. You probably didn't even know what a lead magnet was then.
No.
You went into my nurture sequence, and I remember
Yes.
you hitting reply quite quickly and buying quite quickly. I don't know how long you'd been part of my world prior to that lead magnet sign up. But yeah, do you remember the nurture sequence and the sequence of how you came to buy from me?
Oh, I think it must have been one download. And then after that, I already told you my story. And then the next thing is like, oh, but I downloaded something again. And then I also answered that. I'm like, oh, Joanna must think I'm just answering everything.
Now you know you're the ideal client who actually responds to nurture sequences. So yeah, I think there's a good learning for all of us on what Melissa shared there, as in sometimes it helps to see you on different channels or hear you or be on an email list or maybe see you on social as well and get to see different sides of you, the story that resonates. Again, why it's so important that we share our story. So thank you, Melissa. I think tons of learnings for all of us in what you've shared already. And can you tell me what was most useful for you in the program?
I think there are three things that I found most useful. The first are really the practical tools and frameworks. The second is the community. And the third, you and Jackie. So let's talk about the tools and frameworks, right? I think first off, you know, the tools and frameworks in the program, having them around gives you a lay of the land of what to expect. There's an email and I'm not there yet, but like many of us in the chat say, don't get pressured, just do it at your pace. But the reason the tools and frameworks are there is really for you to know what needs to be done for the business. It's not a race, right? It's really that the fact that there are just so many things to set up a business that need to be done. And coaching, unfortunately, is not going to be the most use of your time unless you get the proper fundamentals down. And I think seeing those tools and frameworks, it's important. And like one of the frameworks that I mentioned to you prior to this call, Joe, that really helped me was just getting my mindset set in that I had transitioned from a corporate executive and into a coach. Because without that mindset shift, I could get my niche straight, but if I didn't get my mindset straight, it would really be a very difficult road. So some of those tools and frameworks are quite useful in setting your business in the right direction. The second is the support of the community. Because as I said, when you're wanting to get moving, you want to be the A student and get everything right and go through all the frameworks. But the community is what really gets you through your ups and downs, because there will be many. I mean, not only do your clients feel imposter syndrome, but you also feel imposter syndrome. So that's what the community does. It sets your mindset. It helps you. The community is a bunch of coaches who also are going through the same program, who've been there. Some, like me, have just started, and some are coaches who've been there for years and who feel like they need a bit of a wayfinding. And to be in a room full of people week after week talking about their experience, you not only learn with them, but you learn through them. So it's amazing. And I feel quite happy that until now, I'm still friends with some of the people I met in the program. A very special group of people who open up their fears and let you be part of that and grow with you. And the third, as I mentioned, is you and Jackie, because both of you are experienced coaches and you're not exactly the same, but you're not exactly different. But you give us this whenever we have questions, either you or Jackie jump in, provide an answer that is timely, that is relevant, and challenge us. You know, Joe, you're the supportive voice, and Jackie's typically the challenging one. But both of you together give us a point of view that moves us forward and gets us to a better place at the end of the day. And we all learn when we read somebody's questions, the whole community learns from the answers. So that is really powerful.
I'm so glad you mentioned it. I forget to ever mention that I have someone amazing called Jackie, who used to be my one-on-one coach when I first started. She was amazing. She literally used to make questions that make my head hurt so bad. It was exhausting having coaching with Jackie in a good way, because she just makes your brain new neural pathways create every single step of the way. So I was so happy when I asked her if she would be part of the program, and she agreed.
Me,
I'm so blessed. And she also helps me masses just in how she does things, as well as my approach too. So it's great to see that there's different approaches and that both can work as well. So thank you for mentioning Jackie. And what's different now then, 12 months on from your role being made redundant at Credit Suisse, and you were living in Switzerland, I think, at the time.
yeah.
Tell me more about your last year.
Since the time we've met, well, first of all, now I'm living in the Philippines with my husband. So that's one big milestone. That's smooth. I can't believe that not only have I built a business and launched, but we've also had a transcontinental move. So that's crazy if you think about it. Second, when I had just started the program, I still hadn't been certified with ICF, but now I've gotten my ACC, which is a huge step because that was something that I had wanted so that I could be fully certified. And the third thing too was one of the things that was really bugging me was I didn't know how I could show up on social media. Because like I said, many of us who come into coaching want to do good. Like we don't necessarily want to market ourselves. Right. And I was one of those people. And it's ironic considering that I'm a marketer by profession. I didn't want to market myself, but I think I had 1,200 followers at that time. Since then, in a year, I've tripled my followers. I get very good engagement actually on my posts now. Somewhere in the area of like each time I post, I get something like 65 to 80 comments on every post I make, which I think is pretty good. I post maybe 5 to 6 times a week. So I feel like I've come quite far relative to how I started. And now I work with about 3 to 4 people a month. That's quite regular. And that is something that I had stated that I wanted to do as well. And I've just launched a group coaching cohort together with Women of the World Coaching. So that's nice. It feels like I'm on the right path. Of course, we always want to do more and be better, but I think given everything that has happened in life, I think I'm quite on the right path.
Yeah, totally. It's so easy to always have such high expectations for, say, that first year of building a business. And in fact, you've absolutely aced it. But it's funny how we always want 5 years growth in 1 year. And you probably have had 5 years growth in 1 year. And so it's so nice to talk to you here and hear you accept all of the things that you've learned, all of the things that you've built, the achievements that you've made.
Oh, that's the other thing. I think by now I've guessed it on maybe 4 podcasts. That's something that I wouldn't have done before either. And I did a LinkedIn Live that had, I think, people from Paris, Zurich, New York, India all join in. Again, these were things that I just never thought I would try, but they've been quite successful. So I think I found myself in this last year just trying things. So that has also come from the program, the idea that we should just try things. Like, who cares? We should just put ourselves out there.
Yeah, totally. And after such a long time in corporate, especially in a senior role, that's actually a lot harder. I find working with people that have been super senior in their roles before is harder because I suppose whether there's a longer way to fall or you're not used to being so open and trying things so readily if you haven't got like a guarantee that they're going to work out. What was your biggest takeaway from the program?
I think just try it. You would have these exercises on our weekly calls where you would just encourage us to write a post and then post it. Right? Just try something out and just do it and then forget it. It was so difficult for me at the start, but I think now I'm done with overthinking and over perfectionism. There is something to be learned from the trying.
Yeah, I love that call where we go on mute and I give you 10 minutes and a framework to write a
Yeah.
post and aim to post it by the end of that 10 minutes. And people are like, oh, I normally spend 4 hours writing a post. How can I do this in 10 minutes? But if you have a framework and you have a timer on, you have someone asking you to do it. It's amazing what you
Yeah.
achieve quite quickly.
A lot of what I've learned is to unlearn a lot of the perfection that corporate often teaches you. Of course, we want to please our clients, but at the same time, there's this fine balance. As we're building, we just need to build.
And you can only improve, say, I know you've obviously built things like your website, your lead magnet, your nurture sequence. You just have to start with something and then you will edit it, but publish it and then edit it again and again, start and iterate. What are you looking forward to next, Melissa?
So I am looking forward to number one, I'm currently auditing my programs because I want to find a way where I can really create a better 5-star experience, which means that I need to find opportunities where I can create more operational efficiency.
Totally. Hopefully, now you've been in my program, you'll start to think, oh, I could automate weekly emails, even though they make everybody feel quite stressed. They're also useful. So there's probably lots of things that you can start to build out now in your own program.
Yeah. And then part of that will be, okay, how do you create a subscription program? Right? As part of that too. So there are things that I want to be doing that create the efficiency, but also create a bit of steadiness.
Totally. Recurring revenue, amazing next step. Would you recommend the program? And if so, who to?
I have recommended the program to so many people already.
Good.
I think I've seen them on your calls, in fact.
Oh, exciting. Thanks, Melissa.
Every time I see a potential, I'm like, you need to talk to Joanna. I've been recommending you for the past year.
Who do you think the program is suitable for?
The program is suitable for anybody who is serious about wanting to build a coaching business. In fact, I've told people, even if you're not a coach, but you want to build a service business, you should work with Joanna because you need to figure out what the business should entail. It's the same steps. Do you want to be a therapist, even if it's a consultancy business? It's the same kinds of steps and the same kind of thinking that would apply. I have told one of my friends in Switzerland to speak with you because while she's doing consulting work for NGOs, she doesn't have a viable business and operations flow. So that's when I think of who would benefit from you. It's quite broad actually, just because there's a way of thinking. And that's why I see even in your clientele over the last few months, the people who are joining the program has gotten much broader. It's not just coaches, right? Like you have the somatic, it's much broader.
It's totally suitable for consultants and
Yeah.
trainers as well. So, like you say,
Yeah.
same sort of process. But if there is someone listening now and they are in their coaching business, they're maybe feeling stuck, stagnant, what would be your best advice for them?
My best advice for somebody who's feeling stuck or stagnant is number one, don't lose hope. Sometimes it's just because you're missing a trick. And sometimes you just need a bit of help to unlock your potential, right? Sometimes you just need to be coached yourself.
Totally. It can be really hard to ask for help, can't it? And I think
Yeah.
also like patience, there's a lot to build and there is a steep learning curve. Like I said to you before we had this call, I remember for you thinking you were just from like 0 to up here. And it wasn't always easy. And you definitely did contact several times saying, this is too much. There's so much to learn. How am I ever going to do this? And so it's such a joy
Mhm.
to look back now and see that you have got over the social media fear and now you're acing it. You did get over the lead magnet and nurture
Oh my
sequence,
God. Yes.
all of these things that felt like such massive hurdles at the time, and gained your first clients, had your first sales calls, did your first webinars. There's so many things that I think are such a huge celebration for you that I'm glad you are sharing your story so others know that it's okay to have those fears. Yeah,
And I think it's giving yourself grace on what you can and cannot do. But at least now I have a lay of the land, which is what I wanted. I wanted to know what are all the moving parts.
you know, every single little thing we learn, you could learn for thousands of hours how to ask great questions or create great space. So it's just like you say, how can we have a focus on that particular skill, absolutely
Yeah.
ace it, then develop the next skill because you've already got the baseline now of all of them.
So I think that's probably one thing. That's one piece of very specific advice, right? Because you can't do everything well. We're just not built for that.
Yeah, love it. Thank you so much, Melissa. Any parting words to coaches listening that would be motivating and inspiring for them?
For anyone who's listening, who's feeling, oh, when's this going to happen for me? It can happen anytime. You just got to be certain that this is what you really want. And then you've got to put your back in it and then ask for help.
Love it. Great advice, Melissa. Thank you again so much for sharing your journey with us. It was wonderful to work with you, and I cannot wait to see what's next for you.